In April of this year, the House of Representatives here in Washington passed the Protection of Women's and Girls in Sports Act. Now, this was a response to biological males competing in girls and women's sports, but also to the Biden administration's efforts to redefine Title IX rules. When Senator Tommy Tuberville introduced the bill in the Senate, Democrats blocked it from even coming to a vote. Now, what happened to the party of science? Didn't they take Biology 101? Joining me now to discuss this and more, Senator Tommy Tuberville of Alabama. He serves on 4 Senate committees, including the Senate Armed Services Committee and the Senate Committee on Veterans Affairs. Coach, welcome back to Washington Watch. Always great to see you.
Thank you. Good to see you, Tony. Thanks for having me on.
Now, you said the Biden administration's support for males competing in women's sports takes a sledgehammer to Title IX. Explain that.
Well, it's not giving girls the opportunity to succeed. You know, Tony, when I coached, I told every one of my players that I work with that, you know, you live in the greatest country on the face of the earth, but this country doesn't give you work ethic. It doesn't give you the time, to be on time. It doesn't teach you those discipline things. You have to learn it yourself. But the one thing it does give you, this country gives you the opportunity to fail or succeed. Now, that being said, that's not true now. I couldn't tell that to a girl athlete because this country is not going to give you an opportunity to succeed because it's unfair that these young biological boys are having an opportunity to compete against girls. And so that's where we're at. The animals are running the zoo up here, Tony. It's just absolutely amazing to me that we're even talking about this. It is over the top. And the Democrats, all of them, not just a few of them, all of them are fighting for biological boys to have the opportunity to compete anywhere they want. They're trying to do away with gender up here, and we're not going to allow it.
Now, Coach, a lot of people don't realize this, but you coached high school girls basketball, so you know about the opportunity you just spoke of. And Title IX was put in place so that girls would have that opportunity to compete on a fair playing field. This, what we see happening right now, is eradicating that opportunity.
Well, you're exactly right. And here's what's going to happen. You're going to start seeing these young biological boys or men start competing against women's sports. They're saying to us now, well, there's only a few. Well, you allow this to happen, you're going to see more and more every year, and you're not going to have women's sports because what's going to happen, parents are not going to let their young daughter getting into a sport, whether it's in elementary school or junior high or high school, to compete against boys, dress in the same locker rooms, take showers with them. It's not going to happen. So what's going to happen is you're going to see a deterioration of women's sports. Now, it might not be overnight, but it's going to be a slow deterioration, and you're going to lose it, and Title IX is going to be destroyed, and it's going to be a biological boy that's transitioned to a girl, supposedly, that's going to take over their sports.
So when is Chuck Schumer going to schedule a vote on your bill?
Yeah, Chuck Schumer, he doesn't know what day it is. He's... Every day he attacks me because I've got some other things going, you know, the holes on the military and all those because of the abortion. But that being said, you know, I just heard him say, you know, these wildfires in Canada, you know, it's a direct cause by climate change. They need to get them a Smokey the Bear in Canada, you know, and work on cleaning up their trash in terms of underneath their trees. They claim everything is because of climate change. Because why? Because they take money and they can spend it, and that's exactly what they like to do up here. They love to spend the taxpayers' money and waste it.
You know, that's really a good point. And I don't think a lot of people catch that when we talk, we see this fixation with quote unquote climate change. You can't fix that. You can't measure success on that, but they can sure spend a whole lot of money. But I'll tell you something you can measure. You can measure whether or not women can compete fairly in sports, because you can pass a bill today and you can ensure tomorrow that women's sports is for women. You can measure that, and you can determine the outcome very quickly.
Well, exactly. You know, and they ask me all the time what I believe changes this climate change or any other things that they're having problems with. And I say, God, you know, God's going to be the one to decide that. It's not going to be us. But again, they push it, their agenda, and anything that happens in the realm of climate it's going to be because of we're destroying the world and the climate through carbon. And then the same thing when it comes to sports and women's sports. It all goes back to not protecting gender and sex in this country. They want to change it. They want to make sure that they control it, because that's what the Democrats and the far left are doing now. They're trying to control everything that they touch, and they can only do that. They can only do that by masquerading as somebody that's for everybody, and they're really not. They're trying to make a statement that we've got power to make this happen, and we're going to continue to push it. We don't care what anybody else says, and we're going to control it, because if we can control it, it gives us power.
The good news here, Coach, is that as you are holding the line on this and raising the profile of this issue, states are not standing still. We have almost 24 states that have passed bills like this protecting women's sports. So in many ways, while we'd like to see this passed nationally, this is encouraging states to act, and people watching this program, listening to this program, certainly call their senators and encourage them to support this bill, but also their local legislators as well.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Tony. And we've got to get the federal government out of everybody's business. So don't count on Washington, D.C. and the federal government to help you in making the decision. If you give them the chance, they will make a decision for you, and it's not going to be what you like. The states need to get involved, the counties, the cities, they need to get involved in this and make sure they make the decision and keep the federal government out. We don't do anything up here but screw stuff up.
Yeah.
Now, we can waste some money, and we can make bad bills, and we can cause all the crime to be happening, because that's what's happening. We defunded the police in a lot of these cities. The border's wide open. We have drugs everywhere. We have the biggest crisis, I think, that we have in this country right now is mental illness. And it's really not a crisis. It's an emergency. And we're not even talking about it. It's really criminal what goes on up here. But, we're going to fight, Tony. We're going to fight to the end. We're going to give these young girls and women the opportunity to compete on a fair and level playing field. And we're going to fight this climate hoax, and we're going to fight all the crime in the city, and we're going to fight at the border, and we're going to fight for our education system and to get God back in our schools, because we don't, Tony, it's going to be tough to survive.
You're absolutely right, Coach. And I want to thank you for that fight. I want to also applaud your stand against the Biden administration's military abortion policy. You're taking a lot of heat, even from your own party. We commend you, grateful for it, and we stand with you. Coach, thanks for being with us today.
Thank you, Tony. Good talking to you.
All right.